Nikolai Glushkov was the #1 target over his alleged involvement in a fraud linked to the airline Aeroflot. There were fears last night that Vladimir Putin could target the remaining 21 businesspeople, described by the Kremlin as fugitives of justice, who now live in Britain. The hit list was published by the Russian embassy in London. Russian prosecutors had sent a formal request to Britain for Mr Glushkov to be arrested and extradited in January 2015, but lawyers advising the then Home Secretary Theresa May concluded the businessman had no case to answer and the extradition demand was dismissed. On Monday, Mr Glushkov, 69, was found dead by his daughter Natalia at his rented home in New Malden, Surrey. There are fears that Putin may come for the other members of the list. Given the events of recent days, you have to ask if this amounts to Putin's hit list. Russia Watcher. He reportedly had strangulation marks on his neck, and Scotland Yard's counter-terrorism command has launched an inquiry. The mystery deepened yesterday as officers in forensic suits and masks began digging up the businessman's back garden. A neighbor described how Mr Glushkov was recently visited by two suspicious men, one in a red Ferrari and another in a yellow Lamborghini. He died a week after Russian assassins tried to murder former spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia in a nerve gas attack in Salisbury, Wiltshire. Details of the list emerged as President Putin warned in a new documentary that he can never forgive betrayal. The Russian president, expected to be re-elected on Sunday, once insisted that traitors always end in a bad way. Mr Glushkov was a close associate of the billionaire Boris Berezovsky, who was discovered dead at his home in Sunning Hill, Berkshire, in 2013 with a scarf around his neck. Mr. Berezovsky's death is one of 14 now being re-examined by police and MI5 in the wake of the double murder attempt in Salisbury. The list features 19 men and 3 women who were accused of crimes, including fraud and money laundering, after settling in Britain. Nikolai Glushkov was apparently the first on the 22-strong hit list. Russia formally requested the extradition of all 22 between 2007 and 2016, but 14 requests were turned down by Mrs May and 2 others were rejected by Labour's Charles Clarke and Jackie Smith when they were Home Secretary. 6 other extradition cases were thrown out by the courts. One London-based Russia Watcher said yesterday, given the events of recent days, you have to ask if this amounts to Putin's hit list. The names include Andrei Borodin, number 3 on the list, who was linked to an alleged large-scale bank fraud. He left Russia in 2011 and later bought Britain's most expensive home, the £140 million Park Place estate at Henley-on-Thames, Berkshire. The list, which was published last year, had been accompanied by a diatribe against Britain headed, "Why are fugitives from justice welcome in the UK?" It went on to say, "It never fails to amaze us that the Russian citizens who fled to the UK as fugitives, while here, become British subjects. Harboring Russian fugitives does not do the British government credit in the eyes of Russian public opinion and the international community."